Hey everyone, it's Cheyenne again. Since today is the first day of May and it is officially the first day of Ehlers Danlos Syndrome Awareness Month, I wanted to do a special video for you. I wanted to do my journey with Ehlers Danlos Syndrome. I mean, a lot of people have followed me on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, and they've seen bits and pieces of my journey through Ehlers Danlos Syndrome, but they haven't gotten to see a big picture or really hear me talk about it. So that's what I want to do today. I really want to try and help someone that may have had a similar childhood to me or has children who are going through the same thing I'm going through, or I went through, sorry, and maybe help them get diagnosed sooner so they aren't as debilitated as I am now from the damage I did to my body. So let's begin. First off, Ehlers Danlos Syndrome is a genetic connective tissue disorder, so that means you're born with it. And Ehlers Danlos Syndrome affects the collagen in your body. The collagen is what holds your body together. It's basically the glue for your body. If you didn't have collagen, your organs wouldn't be held together, your joints wouldn't be held together, and you wouldn't have good skin to hold everything in. With EDS, you have the possibility, and it happens frequently, for joint dislocations, stretchy, hypermobile skin. You are extremely flexible. Your skin breaks easily because it's really fragile. You bruise easily, and there's a possibility for organ rupture or organ separation from your body. So Ehlers Danlos Syndrome can be a life-threatening condition, especially for people who have type 4, the vascular type. I personally have type 3 with crossover type 4. So that means I have the hypermobility type with a crossover of symptoms from the vascular type. I have not been officially tested for vascular yet. I'm hoping to do that soon though. But let's begin. So when I was a baby, I was born, obviously, and we thought something was wrong with my hip because my hip seemed out of place and it clicked, and they were just really concerned about my hip. So I went to get sent to get an x-ray on my hip, but I was too young and they wouldn't do an x-ray on me at the military base because I was a military baby. And eventually my hip just kind of went back on its own. My mom and my dad noticed some things I did differently when I was little. I had issues with crawling. I crawled differently than normal people. I laid on my head with my belly in the air, and I scooted on the back of my head. I would refuse to crawl, and I had a hard time with pushing up and when I started walking. It turns out that I was probably trying to compensate for my joints being unstable, and holding myself up on my hands to crawl was just not an option for me because of EDS. If you didn't know, EDS is short for Ehlers Danlos Syndrome, so I'll probably refer to it as that throughout the video. But I didn't crawl correctly. I had issues with walking. I was very, very uncoordinated, always walking into things and falling, and I would seem to just fall over standing there. I had issues with holding a pen or a pencil or a crown or whatever. You know, when little kids are coloring, I had issues holding on to it. And no matter how hard I tried, I could not color inside the lines. I had issues operating scissors. I had issues holding on to objects. I would just drop them, and I didn't mean to. I also frequently complained that my head was heavy, which we now know that is because my spine is unstable. And you can imagine if your spine that connects to your head is kind of like this, and then you have a 7-pound head on top of that, it's gonna be heavy and hard to hold up. So I was constantly, at school or at home, I always had one hand holding my head, or I would lay my head down. I also frequently complained of pains in my legs, especially. I complained of pains all over, but especially my legs. I went through many, many years of the doctor saying, oh, you're just having growing pains. Okay, I could accept that, except for the fact I never grew. I was always the tiniest in my class because I was failure to thrive. I didn't grow. I didn't gain weight. Every year at school, the nurse from school would call my mom and my dad and say, are you aware that Cheyenne has not grown or gained any weight in the last year? And we're like, yeah, she's at the doctor all the time. Because I had to go to the doctor every single month to get a chest x-ray because I got pneumonia and bronchitis so easily. I also caught other illnesses easy because I have a weak immune system. I started gymnastics when I was 18 months old because my mom is a gymnastics coach. So she started me really young, and I still remember this day, and my whole family knows this story by heart because I was on the team for gymnastics, and I was learning just how to swing on the bar, swing front to back, except for the fact that I'll show you. When I stick my arm up, my ball joint sticks out the front or the side, and I couldn't swing front to back. Sorry, I can't find my armhole. There we go. Okay. I couldn't swing front to back. I swung every which way on the bar, and I still remember my coach, she starts screaming for my mom, Stacy! Stacy! Get out here! What's wrong with your kid? And my mom comes out there and she's like, what? What's going on? What's going on? And they show her, and we had to try and come up with different ways that I could hold onto the bar and swing in a straight line. So I had to turn my arms in and then rotate my wrist back out to hold my shoulders in place. We had multiple issues in gymnastics where I just couldn't do things like other people did. If I did, I would get hurt or I would dislocate. I could not do push-ups. If I did push-ups, my shoulders dislocated and I fall on my face every single time. I still am stubborn sometimes and think, oh, maybe I'm stronger now, and I would try them again and I'd fall on my face again. But I ended up an elite gymnast. But it was hard. I had to change the way I did things. In Taekwondo, I had to change the way I did things because my first thought to get out of holds and things like that was to just dislocate a joint and wiggle out of it. Well, that's not healthy for you. Or I would try and punch someone and I had to keep in really close range because if I extended, my arms would go out of place. It made sports and things really difficult. And then when I was 9 years old, I was playing softball. And long story short, a lot of our team didn't show up that day, and we were supposed to forfeit our game. But my mom was my coach. She was my coach for basically everything. She knew that if she stuck me in outfield by myself, I could cover the whole outfield. And we could still play the game. So I was playing in outfield all by myself. The ball went all the way to the fence, and I got it, and I went back, and I threw the ball in, and you saw my shoulder just dropped. It just dropped right out of socket, and I started holding my shoulder and crying, and I got it popped back in. That was the worst dislocation I had ever had up to that point. And I ended up having to see an orthopedist and a whole bunch of people, and then they sent me to a geneticist, and the orthopedist told me to never, ever, ever play sports again because it would kill me. I argued with him and told him I'm going to play until my body just tells me I absolutely can't anymore. So he said I could as long as I was careful and if it hurt to stop. So that's what I did until I was 18 when I got hurt in college, but I'll get to that in a minute. He also said no push-ups ever. And I saw a geneticist. A geneticist came in from 3 hours away to see me, and they were just looking at my flexibility and all of my family history, and they said to us that I had a connective tissue disorder types 3 and type 4. But on my insurance, they had to put down that they found nothing, that the results were inconclusive, because at that time, I would have lost my insurance. And for a child who has medical needs, that's not an option. So we knew I had some type of issue with my connective tissue, but we didn't have a real name. We also knew that it could cause my heart to burst. I was told that I had a 40% chance that at any time in my life my aorta, which is the biggest vessel to your heart, could just burst. So I had to go have my first echocardiogram. And from then on until high school, I dealt with many, many, many dislocations and injuries. I blew out my other shoulder. I had torn all the tendons and ligaments in my right shoulder when I was 9 at that softball accident. I tore all of them in my left shoulder when I had a cheerleading accident. I stretched my MCL, ACL, and PCL, the ligaments that hold your knee together in both knees, to their breaking point. I was in a knee brace for about 1.5 to 2 years, I think. I had issues with my ankles. I had issues with headaches. I had issues with my fingers dislocating on me. But I was scared to tell people that I was in so much pain or that I was having so many issues with my joints, because I was petrified that they would take away the things I loved, which was sports or school stuff. And I didn't want the doctors to be poking and prodding me anymore. I was in denial. I kept thinking that if I just ignore all of this, it will go away. It can't get worse. It'll just go away. If I just keep doing my physical therapy that I've done since I was 3, it'll go away. If I just tape my joints, it'll go away. But it didn't. I graduated high school early. I graduated at 17, and I went off to Missouri Southern State University with a full-ride scholarship to study industrial engineering technology. So I wanted to be an engineer. I was really good at math and science, and I honestly was just good at school. I enjoyed it. And I tried out for the cheerleading squad. I made it. I made it at 17, and I was really excited. I was put for their nationals team. So I was going to go to Florida and compete against squads all around the world, and all around the nation, not the world. That's what nationals means, duh. But I was so excited. Like, this was a dream come true. And then the day of our first game, which also happened to be my 18th birthday, my choreographer wanted me to try a tumbling skill that I told him I could not do because my shoulder's dislocated. Now, keep in mind, at this time, I didn't have an official diagnosis. I didn't have a name to what was causing this disaster of a body that I have. And it's so hard to explain to other people that my shoulders dislocate if I do a certain trick, or I just can't do that because it causes severe pain, or I can't be the person holding the girl up in the air because, well, my shoulders just dislocated doing that. It's not safe for the flyer or the girl in the air. They didn't understand, and he made me do the trick anyways. He told me he was going to take me off the national squad if I didn't. So he kind of, bullied me into it, which is just wrong to do. and I hurt my wrist. I tore all of the tendons and ligaments in my left wrist, and the bones got shoved up into my hand. They decided they couldn't do surgery to fix it because my connective tissue was too weak and it wouldn't hold. So I was in an immobilizing splint for about a year. And I still have to wear an immobilizing brace quite often because of the pain and the popping that it does. And at that point, I knew that I was done with cheerleading. I had to quit. It was too hard on my body. I was getting more and more pains and more dislocations every day. I thought it was cheerleading. I didn't realize that it was my Ehlers Danlos Syndrome. I mean, because I didn't know I had it. I didn't know it was progressing and getting worse, but I quit the cheerleading squad and I was just studying and I was working, and slowly I started noticing I was having issues with mental capacity. I was having issues with my memory and other things like that, which I've never had issues with. It was also affecting my grades, which was starting to concern me. I also had started to get a pain in my back and a really bad headache every single day. When the next semester came around, I decided that since I can't cheer, I should dance. I've always been one of the better dancers on the cheer squad, even though I've never taken dance lessons. I was like, I'll give it a shot. So I tried out for the dance team in college, and I made it. I was really excited, and I made it about a third of the way through football season. And my mom caught me out on the field holding my back with just this horrible grimace of pain on my face. It was so excruciating. I finally had to break down and tell her and my grandma what had been going on, what was going on with the pain and the migraines and the school issues and other things. And I went to see a spine specialist, and he started looking at me, and he thought at first I might have a broken back. And then he thought I may have a brain tumor, and then he thought I had smushed my spine. And all of those came back fine, but he also kept coming back to the fact that I was extremely flexible. More flexible than anyone he had ever met, and I don't really work on my flexibility. Even as a cheerleader and dancer and gymnast, I hardly ever stretched because I was flexibler than everyone else already, so there was really no point. I never got pulled muscles from not stretching because I was just really stretchy. And he said he believed I had a condition, but he wanted someone else to back it up. So he sent me to see a rheumatologist, and the rheumatologist took one look at me and he's like, you have this. And he said it's called Ehlers Danlos Syndrome. And he said you have type 3, possibly type 4. And I remember just being like, because I had a name. I had a name for what was attacking me. Like, I couldn't believe I had a name for it, and it was, like, incredible. Even though having a name doesn't really do much for you in the, like, treatment area and stuff like that, but it gave me a starting place. I now knew what to tell doctors, what to tell other people I had, and it was just a comfort of mind. And, it's just, that was when I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed right before I turned 19. And I was diagnosed I was diagnosed at 18. Sorry, it's all really confusing, and I'm having lots of issues with mind issues and memory issues still. But I was diagnosed, and I was told that it's a progressive disorder, and it will get worse as I get older. I also, at that point, I quit my job because I couldn't work anymore. I was in too much pain. I was having surgeries. I was passing out. I had a migraine every day. Like, all kinds of things. I had to quit school. I had to quit my job. I had to move home. My whole life got flipped upside down. I lost everything that I love. and it broke my heart. And now I'm gonna keep fighting. I'm going to fight for awareness and to have the life I deserve. I don't deserve or want to be 21 and in a wheelchair and be bedridden all the time, which is where I'm at right now. And I want to get better, and to get better, there needs to be more awareness. I need the doctors to know what my condition is. I need them to be honest with me if they don't know what it is and willing to learn, but that's not happening right now. So the more awareness we can spread, the closer we'll get to treatments and the closer we'll get to a cure, because right now Ehlers Danlos Syndrome does not have a cure at all. There is no cure whatsoever. And there also aren't really any treatment options. All you can really do is treat the symptoms and brace the joints that are giving you problems, and at some point have surgery on them and cross your fingers and pray to the heavens that it works and you don't have to have that surgery repeated 1 billion times because your connective tissue is sucky and it doesn't want to hold it. I also want to spread awareness so that other kids and other people don't have to go through what I went through. I want them to be able to recognize the signs at I want them to be able to recognize the signs at a younger age and start treatment sooner, start physical therapy, start bracing, don't do the things that hurt them. Awareness means so much for EDS, because without it, we won't progress to getting any type of good treatment. Also, the fact that EDS is rarely diagnosed. It may be more common than what they think, but since the doctors don't know about it, they don't diagnose it. I mean, it took 19 years for me to get a diagnosis, and some of my friends, it took them 30, 40 years to finally figure out what was wrong. So please, 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 please share this video, share a picture on Facebook or on your Instagram, tweet out a little thing. I learned about EDS or Ehlers Danlos Syndrome today. Just please help us spread awareness. You will help us get one step closer to better treatments and one step closer to helping us live a normal life. Please, awareness means so much. And if you would like to know more about Ehlers Danlos Syndrome or my life, you can comment down below in the comment section, or you can find me on Facebook at Love Zebras and Ehlers Danlos Syndrome, or basically anywhere else on the internet, I'm Love Zebras EDS. And I want to wish you all a very happy first day of May and a very, very happy Awareness Day, or Awareness Month for Ehlers Danlos Syndrome. I love you guys so much. Have a great day. Mwah!